Hello, everyone. How are you? My name is Jenny, in case you've forgotten. I've missed being here, and I will explain what has been going on. Everything is fine with Bailey. Um, and the reason that I haven't made a post and written this is because it isn't about me, and my sister, who it is about, is very, very private. She's the most private person that I know. She actually, not because she asked, but friends of hers have been, going through social media making sure that no one is posting about what's going on with her. Jeez. That's why I haven't been here because I didn't want to cry. It's actually not so bad now. It's better, but just indulge me for a second. I took a drink earlier to calm myself, and I spilled. So I don't want to do that again. Um, so in the middle of November, my sister, who at the time was 45, uh, my mother has been taking her for about, I think at that point it was probably 6 months. She had started getting sick about 14 months ago, just weird symptoms, nothing really alarming and nothing that anybody could figure out. So, she was just going like from Chicago to southern Wisconsin. I mean, anytime she went to a specialist, they would say they would order tests and then send her to another specialist who would order tests and send her to another specialist. And everyone was just kind of scratching their head. So in the middle of November, she had another doctor's appointment, and my mother was waiting for her because she was picking up my mom. It was close to my mom's house. And when she wasn't there, when she was supposed to be, my mother called her and she couldn't even speak. My mother and brother live, close by. I live a little over an hour away. So they raced over and she couldn't even get from her sofa to the front door. She was almost dead. She they think now, and this is just so a lot of you will understand what I'm saying. We have a lot of members of the medical community. A lot of people in that field are part of our little community here. So they believe now that it is necrotizing autoimmune myopathy. Uh, she has a very rare case where her lungs are no longer working. But there have been many other things have gone on during that time. Those of you in the medical community know what DIC means. The first hospital, she's in her third hospital now, fourth ICU. She's still in the ICU. For a long time, she was on life support, but at one point, a hospital had done plasmapheresis, and her blood, they did it so like a bunch of times in a very short span of time. And thank God that they had the good sense at that hospital to call another hospital and say, will you please take this patient? And when she got to the next hospital's ICU, that's when, we could see in her forearms that she was bleeding. Yeah, she lost the blood, had no ability to clot or to coagulate. There was no protein in her blood at all. They removed all of it. So for a few days, she had an arm like open for, I mean, I'm not going to, probably I'm getting too much into the weeds with all the detail. I'm sorry. But the point is that she was extremely ill. I really didn't think that I would come on YouTube without having to say that I lost my sister. Sorry. So she is now in a hospital in downtown Chicago. They actually have a clinic that specializes in her diagnosis. So it isn't a for sure diagnosis. I might come back and say something else, but as far as I can tell now, because I mean, they've tested her for pretty much everything that you can test for, it seems like. That's where we are. But she's in good spirits. She, she's fighting and she's fighting to get well. It's amazing that she lived through the bleeding. It was, I mean, there were two nurses with her that day. Every time I looked up, one of them was putting blood, hanging the blood for to go in. And she just said to me, we can't keep up with the loss. We're just not quite able to keep up. And her blood pressure was like 44 over. I mean, it's amazing that she lived through that because at that point she was already in really bad shape. So, I'm hoping that this continues and that she keeps improving. I have kept up with all of my sessions. I'm having such a great time with the 2023 preview special that I put out. I would encourage you guys because, anytime you talk to me, you're getting the benefit of Archangel Metatron. So I put this up just to, just for something nice to do. Everybody is kind of, wondering what's happening, and it's been great. Just I've gotten to meet so many of you and catch up with so many of you. So I've been able to keep up with sessions and, of course, the Metatron attunement course. So all of you who have spoken with me know this has been going on, but I wanted to say it to everybody because I don't want you to think ever that I'm just not bothering to come on YouTube. And I know you know that I have things going on. But I hadn't talked about my sister, first of all, because she's so private. And it was also happening really amped up when Bailey got really bad in August. That was when my sister was no longer able to work. She was just so weak. But man, she is tough as nails, that girl. But yeah, she's had a birthday and, we had Christmas, we had New Year's, and she's been in the ICU this whole time. So we did modified versions of all of those things. But it really, it's really made me grateful that I can breathe when I want to, and to be careful not to take, my health for granted. We do take it for granted and we take our loved ones for granted. I mean, as soon as that happens, then everything, your priorities straighten out really quickly. And I'm very well aware that many of you have lost significant loved ones or people who are very dear to you lately. That's been going on, it seems, a few months that I've been hearing from a lot of you who've lost siblings, partners, and other loved ones. And I just want to say, let's focus on what it is that we do like about our family members. Because you don't know really, what could happen. It's just so we all just kept saying like, it was like we just got flung into this horror story. And it's hard to watch people suffer that you love. It's hard to watch your loved ones, so everybody being so upset. But we feel like she's in the right place now, and so yeah, I feel a lot better about it. I'm making this, by the way, on the full moon in Cancer day. So, of course, it's emotional. We're lucky, though, I feel like, because the moon is so far away. It's a micro full moon because it's square to Chiron, who is in Aries, answering to an out-of-bounds Mars. So it could have been a lot more emotional. I think that we kind of got away with something with this one because of what else was happening in the sky, but it didn't feel too emotional, so that's good. I also wanted to tell all of you that our next segment of the Metatron Attunement course, and this is limited availability because of the detail and the depth of work. Any of the first 3 installments are available for purchase if you'd like to email me. But next we're doing the Chiron initiative. I'm so excited about it. I did this years ago. Myself and Metatron and Chiron. We will be working with Archangel Raphael. While we're doing that, we're going to learn how to go into past lives and take a look at the quantum field. And we have really good stuff coming up. We have a really strong core group with lovely people. I love meeting with them. When we have 2 live meetings every month, and then I send meditations for you to do on your own. This is meant to open up your relationship with your soul so that you can hear your soul, so that you can do all the magic-y stuff. That's what mystics do. They teach other people, show them how to do those things, and that's what I am. And so we've had a really great time. We just worked with Gabriel for the last 3 months, and before that, it was Archangel Azrael. And so, we're going to do that next with Archangel Raphael. I'm so excited. We're going to do the I Ams. Chiron is the I am, and it says a lot about who we are, right, in our chart and what we believe that we are. So we're getting to the truth of it. And, we do story removals just like in one-on-one sessions. So it's a really good deal. I'm telling you, it's a really good deal. And I think I'm good now with, sharing it with all of you to join whenever. You don't have to have done the beginning. It's just for yourself, right? So I want everyone to have an opportunity to join if you'd like to. And you can find that under Book a Session. The Book a Session page on my website. Sorry, I have one more thing. I had told so many of you when I spoke with you on the phone that we were going to do New Year's Eve manifesting. And then, of course, life overtook that idea, and it was a Mercury retrograde. So I thought, let's do it with the new moon in Aquarius, because this is a super new moon. We get 2 this year, 1 this month in January and 1 in February. It's in Aquarius, so it's answering to Uranus, and Uranus is stationed direct at the time of a new moon. It's a big change. It is a big change, especially if you have you have a lot of planets in the fixed signs, or you've been getting hit, and it could be with the fixed signs too, with that Saturn Uranus square. By the time that new moon happens on the now I don't remember, is it it's the 21st. By the time that happens on the 21st, Uranus and Saturn will have pulled out of that square that we've had for the past 2 years. So, I'm really looking forward to that new moon. I think it's going to be, he's saying, a breath of fresh air. Could be a whole new way of being, like the landscape of your life, depending on what's been happening during the Saturn Uranus squares. The landscape of your life could change radically in the next 2.5 years with that new moon. So that will be exciting. So I did that because my plan was for New Year's Eve to do 777, because we will do healing. So we'll do story removals, and there should be an exchange of energy so that your subconscious understands that there's value. I also love when we all come together. It's just so much fun, and you can feel the vibration is like way up there. So we'll do a reading, and we'll do a healing with Uriel and Metatron, of course, and Archangel Michael. So we will do, because, by the way, Mars right now is, and since the 2nd of January, has been at 8 degrees and change of Gemini. And so that's Aldebaran, Archangel Michael's royal fixed star. So we're going to do that with him as well. Mars is going to stay at that degree until the 25th of January, actually. So that's on the website, 777, because we're in a 7 year. 7 years are big. That spirit becoming matter, that's a lot of becoming who we really are, really. So I'm looking forward to that. with all of you. I hope that you can make it. I made it on a Sunday evening, and so for those of you in Australia, it will be Monday morning. It's like early evening for us. So you can find that under book a session. I'll put these three things that I've talked about in the comments. I will keep the 2023 preview up until the new moon. So you can still book it now for the next couple of weeks, and then that will go. You can always book a transit special. That's also on that page when we're not doing the special price. But you can always check in and just do like a half hour catch up anytime. And I'm wide open now. So if you wanted to book a session with me, this would be the best time to do that. So anyway, I've really missed you guys, and of course I've thought of you so much. And on my days off, I really was trying to obviously be with my sister. Bailey's home 24/7, so it's just been a lot to juggle, and I didn't want to be rescheduling clients to make a video. So, but I do apologize that it has been so long and that you didn't know what was going on. I appreciate all of you who checked in with me. You're very kind. And I'm just sending love to all of you who are going through some kind of, medical crisis with a loved one, who have lost people, who have had your own diagnosis. I know that it's rough out there right now for so many people. So I'm never trying to make it like, mine is more important or anything like that. I just really wanted to just share with you guys because I don't want you to ever think that I'm just blowing off the forecast, because I love doing them. So, okay, let's talk about the new moon first, let's wait, let's pause that. And let's talk about what's happening in the house of those people in the capital. So I mentioned that Mars is sitting between 8 and 9 degrees of Gemini. The Uranus of the United States is like 8, it's almost 9. So basically, he's right there. And I was looking to see, like, when will he clear out? Because as Mars moves off the United States, Uranus, where it was 4th of July, 1776, I should say. When it moves off, then it's going to move up to the United States, Mars. So as I was looking through to see, like, what's coming, I noticed that the second week of February, Saturn and the Sun come conjunct, and they meet up with the moon of the United States. Let me look at the chart, actually, because I scribbled so many notes. It'd be easier just to look at it. So Saturn and the Sun will conjunct the moon, which is also with Pallas Athena for the United States. Mercury is sitting on the south node in Aquarius. The moon is also in Aquarius. And Mars is at the midpoint of Uranus and Mars in the United States chart. Pallas Athena, who I said is with the moon, she is with the moon, but Saturn and the Sun are conjunct with the Aquarian moon of the United States, and in the sky, Pallas Athena is on the Sun of the United States. Black Moon Lilith is on the North Node. So, they may, he may give it up. And the man who sold his soul to be Speaker of the House, he may give it up, but I just wonder, if something else is going to come up, because it seems like the deals that he's making are not going to make for a very, the next 2 years may be pretty rocky with what's happening with our Congress right now. So just to keep that in mind, we'll see. Maybe it'll be something completely different, but there were just a lot of things going on that week, so we'll see what happens. So let's talk about the new moon in Aquarius. So the new moon in Aquarius takes place in London at 8:53 p.m. on the 21st, and Central Standard Time, it's 2:53 p.m. And in Sydney, it's on the 22nd at 7:53 a.m. So that's 8, right? That's infinity. And the moon and Mars in the sky are contra-parallel. Mars is parallel Black Moon Lilith, so they're at the same degree by declination, and they're opposing the moon. And Venus, who is ruling Uranus as he's going through her sign, of Taurus is they're contraparallel as well, while Uranus is ruling this new moon. So it's really, and Uranus is stationary direct. So it's really super powerful, but it's definitely something new. Now, sometimes, depending on what's going on in our charts, and where Aquarius falls, it's at 1 degree and change of Aquarius, by the way. Wherever that falls, whatever house that falls in your chart, is going to be obviously what's going to be coming up for you. But it's also good to take a look at progress charts and your solar return chart. That I just like to do, because you never know. That might be significant for you. And in the natal chart, it might not be so significant. But let's talk about that. Let's go back to Mars, because I wanted to mention he's been between 8 and 9 degrees, and he is still technically moving back right now. But he becomes becomes stationary like the 12th, 13th, 14th. On the 15th is when he actually takes a move forward. He went retrograde on Halloween, on the 31st of October, and he's going to clear his shadow March 15th. But I do think, because right now it's especially wonky. Mercury's retrograde, ruling Mars retrograde. It just, I always look at Gemini and Mercury, of course, as the ruler. He has to do with cycles. One time, Metatron, let's just say the Ascended Masters, because I was talking to some people, who had lived as astrologers, and they told me once that you would have to live, and this is the funny part, I don't know what this means, I have no idea what it means, but they said that you would have to live like 25,000 to 40,000 years to really understand that whole thing with the cycle. So I was like, okay, I won't try to understand that. But I do think we're moving into a new timeline, because there's just so much happening with that Uranus. And Uranus has to do, he's the awakener. A lot of times, when he comes in and everything in our lives gets blown to pieces, when we're having a Uranus transit, that is when, the soul says, okay, this is what you wanted, bam, wipes everything out so you can get what it is that you really want. So it doesn't mean that's going to happen. I mean, in this chart, you'll see Saturn in Aquarius is snuggled up to Venus. He's just wrapping up his trip through Aquarius. But when you see him like that in a square with Uranus, and remember Venus is ruling that Uranus as well, and they're not quite square. They're really kind of leaving their square. And so when I look at this, I kind of think like slow, methodical change, especially because in this chart, which is the universal chart, Saturn and Venus are in the 6th house. So I don't see anything, like sudden happenings or surprises. It depends on what's happening in your chart. But Uranus square to Venus too. I was just talking to one of you who had the South Node go by your Uranus Venus conjunction. And it was interesting, just because people tend to think of squares as negative. That they, instead of losing money, because typically if the South Node goes by your Venus, then there's a pretty good chance that you could. But they actually found money that they had in an account a long time ago. So, South Node going through Scorpio, it's a lot about the past, and they were able to recover money, and it actually paid for the trip that they were on when all that took place. So, in this chart also, Vesta is with Neptune. That's another telling sign, because Vesta is where we make a commitment, and then Neptune is kind of like all that is. It's like where spirit, comes in. And so when I see that, I can see, and that's actually in the 7th house of balance. So there is some kind of commitment being made. He's only, Neptune and Vesta are only making the connection with Saturn and Venus. And because they're in the 7th house of balance, then I would say, it could be that some relationship, doesn't mean even really that you meet the person that day, but something new is on its way, is what Metatron is saying. And that's for people in relationship currently as well, is what he's saying. you'll see that the moon and the sun are together conjunct Pluto. You see at the end of Aquarius, there's the moon and the sun, and Pluto is in Capricorn, but there's no line up there separating them. And then you can see the asteroid Mary Magdalene is with the sun and the moon. So it's definitely something to do with our feminine side, the feminine aspect of us. Maybe it is like what it is that's really close, that we feel really close to, or what is really dear to us. Where do we, he's saying, like, what our dreams are, where it is that we want to soar. So that'll be a really fantastic new moon. I'm excited that we're going to get together for that one. Jupiter in this chart is in a sextile, so harmoniously speaking, with Mars. And Jupiter is at the same degree as Juno. Juno was one of Jupiter's wives. She was able to, when Jupiter was hiding behind all of the clouds and trying to keep secret what it is that he was doing. I'm pretty sure it was something negative that he didn't want people to know about. But she could peer through the clouds. She could see what he was up to. And because it's sextile to Mars, which is about sight, and Mars at this point is moving forward, even though he hasn't made a whole lot of progress. And he's answering to Mercury, who by this time is finished with his retrograde, and Capricorn. I feel like we're going to have some sense of clarity, that maybe we'll be able to understand, to see things, maybe why something unfolded in the way that it did. And then also interesting too is that the exact sextile with Mars to Jupiter and Juno is actually the midpoint of the asteroid Sphinx, which is the mysteries of the universe, and that Jupiter-Juno connection. That's the exact sextile. So I do think that we may be able to get some insight, maybe answers come as well. I know full moons are the reveal, and the new moon kind of takes off a new cycle, but that can happen anytime, right? What else did I want to mention? Uranus has been retrograde since August 25th. And then when he goes direct, it will be at... Okay, so he was at 1855, almost 19 degrees of Taurus when he moved back. And he moved back to 14 degrees and 56 minutes. So just about 15. The 15th degree of the fixed signs, which Taurus is one of the fixed signs, is a lot of astrologers call that the anaretic degree, that the fixed signs, it's the 15th degree. And the Sabian symbol is a man muffled up with a rakish silk hat. It's being ready to face a crisis of confidence. And Metatron is saying trusting and believing that you're worthy and deserving of what it is that you are wishing for. Also, with that new moon, Ceres is in the first house, in a nice harmonious connection with Mars. Great time to start a new exercise program, or, a new diet, maybe both. Maybe to throw in something fun. Gemini energy likes to play, and when Mercury is in Capricorn, we can be oh so serious. So maybe, time to, he's saying, kick up your heels a little bit. He's saying a few dance steps, get a few dance steps in. So that's all I have for the new moon. But I really am looking forward to having a meeting for it. We'll see how this goes. I'm thinking about doing a new moon group this year. But let's try this and let's see how it goes. I want it to be really affordable so that we can have as many people as possible. And after you sign up, you'll see on the book a session page, it'll give instructions about the Zoom link and all of that good stuff. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for being here. I wouldn't mind if you liked it or shared it or subscribed because I haven't been here for a while. So I'm interested to see what the algorithms are going to do. But so nice to be back with all of you. And we're going to get through all of these things that are going on. And I'm just sending you guys so much love. Thank you so much for your patience with me. I really value all of you, and I'm so glad that I could be with you today. Okay. Bye bye.